welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, October 21st, 2020. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Following the filing of their nominations yesterday, the Unity Labour Party presented its slate of 15 candidates last evening at another of its virtual meetings for our newcomers. Party leader Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said that all 15 candidates are Christians, family-oriented, and ready to take up the reign to serve the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He referred to them as candidates who are applying for a new job.
But not when you're applying for your job. And we are applying for the various jobs as I've indicated earlier. Government is serious business to be conducted by serious people. It is not a branch of the entertainment industry. You may have entertainment to facilitate what you're doing in seriousness, but entertainment can't be the focus.
Dr. Gonsalves pointed out that there is a mixture of youth and experience in the lineup who are qualified to serve.
And experience. 4 of our team are in their 30s. Orlando, Luke, Sabuto, and Carlos James. 7 members of our team have cabinet experience. Gomri, Sabuto, the humble African, Jimmy, Camilo, Luke, and yours truly, the 5-star general, the political world boss, comrade. 2 parliamentary secretaries additionally, Sister Debbie and Snaggy.
The candidates are Sinclair Jimmy Prince contesting Mariaquah, Dominic Sutherland, Central Kingstown, Luke Brown, East Kingstown, West Kingstown, Deborah Charles, Curtis King, West St. George, Camilla Gonsalves, East St. George, Orlando Brewster, Central Leeward, South Leeward, Minerva Glasgow, Frederick Stevenson, South Windward, Soboto Caesar, South Central Windward, North Windward, Montgomery Daniel, Southern Grenadines, Edwin Snag, Northern Grenadines, Carlos Williams, and party leader Dr. Ralph Gonsalves for North Central Windward. Some of the candidates explain why they are running on the ULP ticket.
I am running because of this party is concerned, and its embrace of the vulnerable, the marginalized, the poor and the powerless.
To challenge someone who is considered to be the titan, the rock relative to politics in the Northern Grenadines. It is more than just bravery. It is a commitment to the people of Northern Grenadines that you're seeing standing here.
Beautiful families of South Leeward know that many plans to work with the government.
And I've made the conscious decision that I wanted to be a lieutenant in his Red Army of that 5-star general.
I have come to you before and I come again. But I come because of love for my people. It's the only reason why I am here again tonight. Because you have told me no on so many occasions. And a man had to be brave and he had to be bold-faced to come again and to tell you that I want to serve you.
I will continue to be your humble servant, providing you with a level of representation that you have not seen in the last 10 years.
I present myself as the people's candidate for East Kingstown, and I ask for your support on Elections Day. I promise to lead you the best way I know how, with love.
The thing I want to take away from this political process, it is the courage of our people. They have molded me into the political candidate that I am today standing before you.
The New Democratic Party launched its slate of candidates for the November 5th general elections at OWIA last Sunday, and leader Dr. Godwin Friday outlined some of the party's plan to further develop SVG. Dr. Friday said the upcoming elections is an important one for the people of SVG as they have a pivotal choice to make which will affect them for a very long time.
A chance now, chart a brighter future for all of us in this country. But in order for us to do it, we have to take care of business. All of you that are here, let's get the job done. We have to encourage our neighbors, those who may have voted for another party, those who may have said that they don't see any difference between one politician and another. Tell them that the new Democratic Party, that we have a plan to grow the economy of this country and to provide jobs for young people.
The NDP leader said once elected to office, they will be focusing on rebuilding the agriculture and fisheries sectors to create opportunities for farmers and fisher folk.
Because right now what we have is a minister who gets up every Monday morning with a new idea. One day is turmeric, the next day is ackee, the next day is something else. And the farmers are left behind because it's all gimmick, it's not performance. So we say the Minister of Agriculture will have the task of rebuilding agriculture in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We also want to have a minister who is dedicated to building the fisheries industry in this country so that we too can export a large amount of seafood. He or she will focus on helping the fisher folk so that they can have more efficient boats, they can go out and stay longer, they have credit, they can buy better engines and equipment, and so that they can make a living, not just subsistence, but one where they're actually running a business.
As part of his party's transformational plans for the blue economy, Dr. Friday said they will establish the Maritime and Hospitality Institute, which the ULP failed to deliver during their time in office.
Those years we asked them, when is this facility going to be open so that our sailors don't have to go to Trinidad or to Panama or to Miami in order to gain their certification so that they could get employed on the cruise ships and the cargo ships all over the world. But they haven't done it. That is also part of our blue economy commitment, that we will get this institute up and running so that our sailors can get certification here, and we may even be able to attract sailors from Grenada and Dominica and elsewhere to come here and get certification. And then they are now available to get jobs wherever they are available in the region and elsewhere. That is plank number 2 in our commitment to revive our blue economy.
As for his slate of candidates, Dr. Friday said the team is the best ever assembled in the history of the country to take SVG forward. And at last Sunday's event in OWIA, the 15 candidates who will be contesting the elections on the NDP ticket were introduced to the large gathering. They are Bernard Wiley contesting Mariquois, Central Kingston, Sinclair Leacock, Daniel Cummins, West Kingston, Dwight Fitzgerald Bramble, East Kingston, K. Bacchus Batiste, West St. George, Lavon Gibson Velox, East St. George, Ben Exeter, Central Leeward, Nigel Stevenson, South Leeward, Noel Dixon, South Windward, Israel Bruce, South Central Windward, Chevron John, North Windward, North Central Windward, Chieftain Neptune, Southern Grenadines, Terence Oliver, and party leader Dr. Godwin Friday, Northern Grenadines. Some of the NDP candidates outline why they believe their party is best suited to lead SVG at this time.
The country has been working for some people. We need a country that works for all of us.
Your vote is your voice, and we must send a clear message that we are demanding good governance governance in this country, not the poor excuse we are accepting now for government.
You have a choice between continuing to have your well-educated children to stay at home or stay on the blocks for years with nothing to do and no employment, or you can choose the New Democratic Party that will bring hope to our young people, that will create jobs for our young people.
SDP will deliver you the best health care in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we will add to that the National Health Insurance Scheme, which means you won't have to beg anybody. So
no longer what will be measured by the extent to which we are on poor relief. No longer what will be measured by rising crime and violence. No longer what will be measured by the exploitation and the prostitution of our young women because they can't get work and opportunity.
We can undo the wrongs has been done to you for the last 20 years. But it will not be easy for us to do this. You will have to fight. You will have to fight, because harder the fight is sweeter the victory. And victory will be coming to us on November 5th.
And leader of the New Democratic Party, Dr. Gunwood Friday, has condemned attacks on party supporters last evening and is calling for an investigation to be carried out. Dr. Friday said the incidents involve gunshots and the throwing of stones at Rillen Hill, which endangered lives.
Rocks struck the windscreen of the truck and nearly caused it to run off the road. At least one person was injured. Gunshots were heard, causing fear and alarm among the supporters. This was a clear attack on the NDP and its supporters, intended to suppress our activities. This is not the sort of thing we expect in our nation. It is completely unacceptable.
Dr. Friday called on the Unity Labour Party to denounce the attacks, noting that they signed a code of conduct a few days ago dealing with such matters.
We call on the police to investigate it fully and independently, and to inform us of the outcome. They must also take all measures to prosecute those involved and to protect the supporters of all parties. Let me be clear. The New Democratic Party will not be intimidated or frightened by those who wish to attack us. We will conduct our campaign and we will be out there with the people every day until the polls close. Our elections must be peaceful and lawful. We agreed to as much when we signed the Code of Conduct.
Dr. Friday said that there has to be a new way of doing things for the country to move forward.
We have a climate of fear, tension, and lawlessness in our beautiful country. That is why it is so important that we have a new way of politics in our country. A way of politics in which we are free to debate our ideas and to have our disagreements without violence, without victimization, without fear. We must put an end to these things.
And Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the Unity Labour Party, the ULP, condemn every political distraction and every act of violence towards any political party and their properties. Last night, during the ULP virtual meeting, Prime Minister Gonsalves said that he was notified of an incident which took place in retreat at a meeting of the New Democratic Party. He said he immediately sent two of his security officers to investigate the matter, and this morning reported it to the Commissioner of Police, Colin John, and Reverend Adolph Davis, chairman of the Christian National Monetary and Consultative Mechanism. However, Dr. Gonsalves said that the New Democratic Party acted irresponsibly because they were not given permission to have a street march and use of amplified music.
The opposition must be careful not to do things like, for instance, marching, having a procession without approval by the police. I've been advised by the commissioner that they applied for permission for the holding of a public meeting in retreat last evening, but there was no application for any procession on the street or for the use of amplified music in that procession on the street. I want to put that just as to complete the record and to reiterate that the government which I head countenances not any of this sort of illegal activities.
The Prime Minister added that this morning he was notified that one of his billboards at Owia was torn down, and he is very disturbed about it. He also expressed fears about statements from the New Democratic Party, which he said can be interpreted as an invitation to the commission of acts of violence and other illegal activities.
I reported the unfortunate statements of the parliamentary representative for Central Kingston, Sinclair Leacock, where he repeatedly stated that I cannot go to Central Kingston because he controlled things there. Now, if I cannot go to Central Kingston because he controlled things there, when I go, is that an invitation to have the more excitable sections of his supporters do something to me? I also reported very early the destruction of the billboard of one of our candidates, Dr. Minerva Glasgow, at Camden Park.
He also urged all Vincentians to approach the elections in a peaceful and dignified manner. And the NDP's candidate for North Windward, Siobhan Lewis-John, has condemned an incident at Owia in which a billboard of the Unity Labour Party was uprooted. John pleaded with her supporters and others to not engage in such conduct.
My campaign will not tolerate any act of violence or vandalism. These acts are acts of cowardice. They do not represent what the New Democratic Party stands for, and certainly not what Siobhan John stands for. Let us all live peacefully and respect each other's civic right. Remember, we are one people and one nation.
This country has recorded 1,155 laboratory-confirmed cases of dengue fever as of October 14th, and 6 persons have so far died from the disease. The information was provided by the Ministry of Health in a release today in which it said that the mosquito-borne disease continues to affect all health districts. Larissa Poxy-Kidd tells us more in this report.
Surveillance committee in the ministry said a 37-year-old female from the Mariquo Health District who was admitted to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital on Sunday, October 11th and died on Thursday, October 15th, tested positive for dengue, but a post-mortem examination revealed that she did not die from dengue. To date, 6 persons have died as a direct result of dengue fever in SVG. The release said that the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital and the Pharmacy Services Program of the ministry are working closely together with the Pan American Health Organization Eastern Caribbean Countries Office in Barbados. This is to support the care and treatment of all patients with dengue fever with a focus on the critically ill patients. It says this support includes the procurement of specialized equipment and medications to increase the country's capacity to care for patients who become severely ill with dengue fever. The ministry said the most recent example of this collaborative support was the procurement and delivery on Monday, October 12th, of 40 vials of medication for a patient who had developed Guillain-Barré syndrome. It said its pharmaceutical services was able to provide the initial dosages of the critical treatment until the additional dosages arrived in SVG. The Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, is also continuing to provide technical support for the implementation of the Integrated Vector Control Program and the management of persons who develop dengue fever. The ministry said that its clinical care team is continuously striving to provide the best possible treatment for persons who develop complications of severe dengue fever. This extreme reaction, the ministry said, is due to the fact that there are many persons who have been previously exposed to different strains of the dengue virus and the related Zika virus. These previous exposures have been found to increase the probability of incendies developing severe disease caused by what it referred to as the antibody-dependent enhancement phenomenon. The ministry further said that similar experiences with severe disease have been reported in other CARICOM member states during this dengue outbreak cycle, which started in 2018. Noting that the fight against dengue is a shared responsibility, the ministry said the Vector Control Unit continues to ramp up the integrated vector control strategy to reduce the mosquito population through the deployment of district teams focused on source reduction, including fogging. It said health promotion activities, which also is part of the integrated vector control strategy, will continue with the engagement of communities, churches, and other non-governmental organizations. Persons who have previously contracted dengue fever, Zika, or children of mothers who had dengue during their pregnancy are said to be at increased risk to develop severe dengue fever. These individuals and their guardians are asked to be particularly vigilant for any warning signs of severe dengue. For SVG-TV News, Larissa Pogsley-Kidd.
And as Vincentians continue to grapple with dengue fever, infectious disease specialist attached to the Ministry of Health, Dr. Gerald Thompson, said there is need for a greater understanding of the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which transmits dengue. Speaking on SVG-TV's program, The Viewpoint, Dr. Thompson said that while the Ministry of Health is doing all it can to address the dengue outbreak in SVG, people have to become knowledgeable about the vector, which is a daytime mosquito whose eggs can survive for a very long period.
Other mosquitoes that lays in a clump on water, the Aedes aegypti lays individual eggs, and it lays them in different places. So it might lay some near to a stream, 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, hedging its bet as regards the amount of water that will come down. It might wash away the one closest to that stream. It's also been adapting to strange places. Septic tanks normally are supposed to be in clean water, but it's been going in very strange places. Now the egg, the Aedes aegypti mosquito egg, can survive for up to 1 year.
Chief Environmental Officer Neri James, who was also on the program, said fogging exercises have intensified and his officers are conducting ongoing inspections. But they will still face challenges as people are still not doing what is asked of them.
That public response is key. We will go to homes on a regular basis, and to me we spend too much time at homes because we are trying to get them to do what they know that they should do.
A medical director of the Advanced Health Clinic, Dr. Conrad Ned, said this is by far the worst outbreak of dengue fever cases he has seen at his clinic.
believe that there are many persons who have not been tested. And I believe that when you're halfway through a public health concern like dengue, it is possible that there are some persons who may not actually be tested for the illness but can be clinically diagnosed.
In other news, the Ministry of Agriculture, in collaboration with the local cannabis company Medical, has carried out the first marijuana extraction exercise in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A release from the Agency for Public Information said the extraction process took place at the Fisheries Lab in Kingston and was preceded by a brief ceremony. This was followed by a step-by-step explanation of the extraction process by Chief Development Officer of Medicinal, Julian Trushaw. The substance extracted is called cannabidiol and is used to treat an array of ailments, including pneumonia and certain types of cancer. Speaking at the ceremony, biotechnologist of the Medicinal Cannabis Authority, Dr. Jean Saville Cummins, expressed delight at having this process being done in SVG legally for the first time. And Minister of Agriculture, Supporter Caesar, thanked all stakeholders for their tenacity and support. He noted that the government is satisfied with the progress being made in having a sustainable medical industry in SVG. The equipment was provided by Tim Starks, who is co-owner of the marijuana company Island Gold of SVG, and Norman Pemberton. The extraction exercise took place on Thursday, October 15, 2020. Persons engaged in the tourism industry in SVG have underscored the significance of safety and security as a major selling point in wooing visitors to this country. And Winston Pops Morgan, president of the SVG Taxi Drivers Association, says the feedback that he has been receiving from clients is that St. Vincent and the Grenadines scores high on these two fronts.
Vincent, you can go to any and anywhere, any time of day, right? And feel comfortable. When a guest comes in, it's called a trip and they need a safe trip. They want to come, see what we have to and go back to their homes or move on to other places. As Marlon rightfully said, persons just ask, these guys, they see them with a stick, that's what they report them. What they are? And they said they're police officers. And they said, well, they have no guns. No, we don't carry guns. There's a certain level of respect for the officer in uniform. And in our country, we don't have like a lot of violent crimes and so on. So feel free. At a taxi, for instance, persons go and take guests to the La Soufrière. That's bush, and sometimes they ask if we're not scared or what. But you meet people up there, and there are times too, I have had guests who want to make the climb by themselves, right, because of the assurance that we give them.
Morgan, who was speaking on the Police Care Serve and Protect Facebook Live program, said the freedom in which visitors engage can sometimes affect the peace of mind of operators.
Sometimes they don't want to engage the services of a guide who should actually walk the trail with them. Some go up there, and there are times when I am worried that time that we, in our contract, the time is running out and the guest is late. And it might have been one or two of them. And when you there worrying, they come down laughing, or they met the fellas in the hills, and they had such a grand time. They get breadfruit and a roast, there's iguana, and they feel the real natural feel. I mean, what is indigenous to our island. And that is important. So you leave long-lasting memories or footprints in the minds of the visitor.
The Police Care Serve and Protect program, hosted by Inspector Hawkins Nanton, also included Marlon Joseph, the hospitality officer at the SVG Tourism Authority. It looked at how safety and security can enhance this country's image as a tourist destination.